Let's speak to Rolene Marks from the South African Zionist Federation. Rolene, thank you very much for your time this morning. To your knowledge, what is going on?
Well, first of all, I do want to correct some factual untruths there. It wasn't multiple rockets fired towards Israel. It was several thousand rockets fired towards Israel. This is still continuing in the south. It wasn't dozens of people kidnapped. It's now over 100 people kidnapped, including the elderly, women and small children. And over 300 Israelis have been murdered. Also, what needs to be mentioned were the Hamas terrorists going home to home in cities like Sderot and Kibbutz Nativ HaSarai yesterday, pulling people out of their homes and others summarily executing them or kidnapping them. The visuals are all over the social media. This has continued while rockets were fired towards Israel continuously, including where I am in Modi'in in central Israel and towards Jerusalem, our capital.
So we saw visuals more so from international news channels of members of Hamas gaining entry into some spaces in Israel. What is the situation like there today?
Well, first of all, the international community has watched and reacted with absolute outrage at what has happened. This is a level of depravity that we have been warning about for years. When we talk about the fact that Hamas, an internationally prescribed terror organization sponsored by Iran, by Hamas's own admission this morning, want to kill Israeli civilians, we saw that demonstrated yesterday. The situation on the ground now is as follows. The IDF have managed to release numerous hostages in places like Ofakim and Kibbutz Be'eri. Right now, Israel is calculating the immense cost, the devastation that I don't think we're going to be able to comprehend for days. This was not an act against a government or a government policy. These were acts of utter deprivation. To take the body of a young woman, now known as a German tourist who was attending a festival in the desert, strip her naked, spit on her body, her brain bullet-ridden, for her family to see is a level of barbarity that cannot be described. But the world is watching and the world is reacting. And at the moment we have a mass call-up of IDF reserves. There have been warnings given to the civilians of Gaza to take cover, to leave Gaza if necessary, because we will respond, as is our right as a sovereign nation, when over 300 of your civilians have been murdered and over 100 captured by an internationally prescribed terror organization.
We understand that there are civilians not only in Gaza but where you are in Israel that are also now forced to be refugees.
We don't have civilians here as refugees because we will open our homes to them and we will bring them into our homes, give them shelter in other parts of the country. The IDF have closed a number of access roads around Gaza as we, first of all, still hunt down some Hamas terrorists that might be in the area, but also as we prepare retaliatory strikes.
So, in a nutshell, the situation is still fluid and could be going on for some time.
That is correct. The situation is fluid. As our Prime Minister said yesterday, we are in a situation of war. We have had international support from countries like the United Kingdom, from the United States. We've heard from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who's also absolutely disgusted at the level of depravity yesterday, and it is understood that Israel has the right to respond. However, we have concerns about these civilians in Gaza who are held captive by Hamas, who are holding their civilians and our civilians captive. This is a double war crime. And we will do everything in our power that we can to ensure as little civilian casualties as humanly possible.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Rolene Marks from the South African Zionist Federation. In a few moments, we're going to be speaking to Roshan Darsu, coordinator of the SABDS coalition.